Hi friends, welcome to Let's Talk with Goutham. Today we're going to discuss about one important concept, that is emotional intelligence. So what is emotional intelligence, and what are the benefits of having a proper emotional intelligence, and what are there are some negatives of having a healthy emotional intelligence. So we are going to discuss those points. So I took some points from Daniel Goleman's book and some other authors' books. So a couple of books I have looked into and collected some points, and I'm gonna briefly discuss about those points. Okay. As we progress, I'm gonna explain about those concepts according to my knowledge and ability. Okay. So emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions as well as the emotions of others. What the specific author is saying is that emotional intelligence is the ability to recognize. Okay, one should be able to recognize and understand. So one should be able to comprehend what's happening. Okay, understand our own emotions, first thing, in order to understand someone's emotions, you need to have a fair bit of idea about what's happening in your life. Okay, so that's the reason one needs to understand our own emotions as well as the emotions of the others. Okay, when we are able to decipher, comprehend, understand what's happening with our life, what's happening with us, and why am I reacting like this, and why my mood is like this. So when you have a fair bit of idea what's happening in your life, you will be able to, when you are able to judge, understand your own emotions, you will be able to understand in an empathetical manner other person's emotions also. So emotional intelligence is that quotient which enables you to understand your own emotions as well as other parties emotions. There are four core components of emotional intelligence. First one is self awareness. First one is what? Self awareness. Self management, second point, and social awareness, and relationship management. So what are the more four key components of having a healthy emotional intelligent person? Is that the person is able to, he is self aware, is about himself. So what are his strengths, what are his weaknesses, what are his capabilities, what are his traits, where he is lacking, where there is an edge for this fellow. So these points, these things, that person is aware. Okay, self management. An emotionally intelligent person will be able to manage himself. Manage himself means what? Manage his emotions, manage his actions, manage his responses, manage his reactions, the way he reacts to the stimuli. So different people will be reacting differently to the different stimuli. So this person will be able to manage himself, manage emotions, reactions, responses, all that stuff. You see that everyone knows, coming from the counseling and therapeutic mental health field, that we have something called as, there is a triangle of thought, emotion, and behavior. Whenever any action has to take place, that gonna stimulate, that gonna sprout from thought. So you are having a thought. So for example, you want to plant a tree, you want to have some trees in your garden or your backyard. So that's a normal thought. If you are emotionally connected, if you have some feelings for that thought, like you are associated, like normally we pray to the Tulsi Mata, so we have that emotional attachment to the plant Tulsi. So obviously, uh, what we gonna do, indirectly or directly, without my conscience, whenever I'm going for to buy some plants for my garden, I'm gonna look for some tulsi plants. Okay, I'm gonna have tulsi plant in my backyard. So I already have three or four, but I will try to buy more. Okay. Next thing, depending on the emotional attachment. Next thing, people think that these bonsai trees are very cute, and we can keep them in our offices, or we can keep in our living room. Okay. So people tend to have this emotional connect with some trees like banyan tree. So some people have in their religious scriptures. So if you place a banyan bonsai tree on your shelf, that's a good omen, or it's gonna ward off the evil eye. So there are so many conceptions about like this. So people have this sort of perception and conceptions. Based on that, they're gonna take the action. Okay. So people might think that some trees are gonna bring bad omen, so they're gonna avoid those trees. Okay. So thought and emotion and behavior. So whenever I have a strong urgent need, or when I have strong urgent desire with the thought, so I'm gonna act upon that thought. So automatically the thought is going to transform into action. On what basis I took the decision to act? On the basis of my feelings or emotions towards that thought. Okay. While we are gonna continue this discussion, I'm gonna explain bit deep into this emotional stuff. Okay. Self awareness. What are the four components of emotional intelligence? Self awareness, self management, and social awareness. Social awareness means like, so for example, where you are living and who are the people who are around you, and what are their mindsets, what are their likes and dislikes, and how should I conduct myself with these people and with the society. For example, there is a saying, no, be a Roman in Rome. So because it's a safe way, whenever you are living with those persons, whenever you are accompanied by a bunch of people, you need to associate with those people, you need to assimilate with those people, you need to give a feel like in order to become one of those people, you need to give that. So I have similar taste, similar thought process, similar everything. No, at least pretend. Why? Because whenever we travel, whenever we go to a new place, so it's a cultural shock. We cannot understand that's what's happening, why these people are eating like this sort of food, or why they are dressing like this, and why they have this. Some may take offense that why these people have this rude kind of behavior, which is normal to those people, but it is a bit rude to us. Okay. So we just have to, we should be socially aware where we are living, and those people who are around us, what are their likes and dislikes, and what their thought process, and what their cultural practices. So social. And relationship management, this is the most component, key most component of a person's life. If you are bad with your relationship management, however successful you might be, however charming you might be, however wealthy you might be, however healthy you might be, so you're gonna lose all those beautiful traits and qualities, because you doesn't have the ability to manage your relationships. So the world starts and ends with the family. The world starts and ends with the people we live with. Especially, it's about the people you are sharing your life, your wife, your husband, and your children. So be better aware of this emotional intelligence if you want to have a good, healthy life. The third point is self awareness is the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions and how they affect our thoughts and behaviors. Self awareness is the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions and how they affect our thoughts and behavior. What we have discussed previous point, the same similar. So when you are able to understand your own emotions, your own thought process, and your own behavior, what I said, thought, emotion, behavior. Sometimes you might feel that why the hell I'm behaving like this? I shouldn't have spoken like that, or I shouldn't have behaved like that with my friend or colleague or with my family member. That you might not be able to comprehend your own behavior. So it is better to have a proper emotional intelligence in order to understand your own emotions, your own thoughts, and your own behavior. The fourth point is self management is the ability to control our emotions and behaviors in response to different situations. So we might try to be calm, composed. We have an agenda, we have a plan towards our life, and we want to achieve that. But the situations are not in our control. You see that even sometimes emotions are also not in our control, but better we should get this grasp of this idea, this key thought that situations are not in our control, not every day. Okay, so self management is the ability to control our own emotions and behaviors in response to different situations. It's simply stating that how we conduct ourselves with others, how we conduct ourselves. So when a difficult situation arises, so how you going to deal with that stuff. So this point is discussing about that concept. Okay. And the fifth point is social awareness is the ability to recognize and understand the emotions of others as well as the dynamics of social situations. You see that sometimes uh, I I also went through this cultural shock when I went to a particularly dominant, a particular religious area. So people were beating themselves and they were bleeding and all that stuff happening. First time in my life, I witnessed that kind of concept. And even the parents are encouraging small children to do that act, and they are bashing with the knives and all that stuff. That's some religious or cultural stuff. At that time, I was not never aware of. Okay, so that was a cultural shock for me. So it took some 1 day to recover from that stuff. So on that time, I started judging those people. "Arey, why these people are behaving like this?" And because I doesn't have an idea of what is the importance or what is the emotional connection with those rituals, I started judging those people. But later on, when I read the scriptures and when I read the whole history and all the concepts and what the reason they are doing that practice or that stuff, so I come to know that okay, it's an emotional that is an emotional part of their life. They are feeling sorrow, they are feeling sad. So in order to vent it out, in order to feel that sorrow, they are doing that particular act. So it might look violent to me, it might look it might shake my conscience, but it's part of their life. So what we can do, respect those cultures, let them have what they want to do. We shouldn't be judging anyone based on their choice of food, religion they practice, and their cultural, uh, what we can say, riti rivas. So let them have their own whatever they want to have. We shouldn't judge. We shouldn't judge. We shouldn't judge. Social awareness is the ability to recognize and understand the emotions of others as well as the dynamics of social situations. Social situations, like what I said. So in previous point, that was a cultural shock for me, and I was in a new place, and I was not aware of that this thing, and I felt like okay, that was a bit overwhelming me. In order to recover, I took 1 day. Sixth point is relationship management is the ability to build and maintain positive relationships with others. What he are saying, positive relationship with others based on effective communication and collaboration. You see that we all communicate. We communicate by using a particular language of medium like Telugu, that is my mother tongue that I use directly with my daily in my life, with my parents, with my friends, and with my colleagues. I do it. And Whether I am effectively communicating, I don't know. I am communicating. Every person, every living organism has the ability to communicate. So people tend to say that animals doesn't have a voice, but they also have a voice. They are communicating with their body language. They are communicating with a body language. Whenever you see a dog, if that is in need of food, when that is in need of your attention, whether it is wants to play with you. So a simple thing that you can observe that any animal, especially the dogs, that's going to protrude in front of you and with these front legs. So that's a gesture of let's go and have a play. Or I'm hungry, feed me. So I need your attention. These sort of things are there. Okay, animals also have a language. They have a communication, but they are using it as we are not able to decipher what they are saying. We are not emotionally connected with those uh, things. Relationship management is the ability to build and maintain positive relationships with others based on effective communication and collaboration. You see that uh, effective communication and collaboration. So, whether you have some 10 people working under you and you want to finish a task and the task is pretty overwhelming and you cannot finish that task in specified time, so what you want to do? Any normal person who is an owner, who is a boss, is going to say that okay, I'm going to come and say that I'm going to order you that you have to finish this task from within 2 days. I need to i need to have this on my table. Okay, but an emotionally intelligent person will gonna delegate the task to the particular persons. Okay, there is a candidate called Raju. Okay, Raju, you are an excellent person, so I have the faith in you. You gonna finish this task, this particular portion of the task in uh, one day. So if you gonna finish that, and we're gonna very happy, and it's gonna improve our team's reputation. Okay, this sort of communication can be effective when you are targeting a particular person and motivating that guy that you have this specific ability. I recognize you and I realize that you have this capability to finish that particular task in given time. So it is better you should finish this task. Okay, and a normal person who is not doesn't have any emotional intelligence is going to come and say that no matter what, I'm gonna I want to have this task finished in 2 days, and he's going to be very rude with the employees with an authoritative tone. He's going to talk. So this is the drawback of an unemotional intelligent person. Let's see the seventh point. High emotional intelligence has been linked to better leadership skills. So a person with amount of emotional intelligence is going to have what? Is going to have a better leadership skill and improved communication. What we have discussed in previous point, the way is going to communicate will be on par with everyone. Okay, improved communication and higher job satisfaction, because uh, he's gonna yield 100% from everyone, and he's gonna yield 100% from himself. So obviously he will be having this job satisfaction. Emotional intelligence can be developed and improved over time through self reflection. So, emotional intelligence is not static, it is dynamic. Our IQs are static. So, we are born with certain IQ levels, and so we're going to learn some new skills, we're going to learn some new concepts, and we're going to learn new logics and how better we can improve those logics in our life or in our work or in our daily routine. That's all. It's all depends on the sort of background you are coming from. There is something called as nature versus nurture. So by default, by nature, you are blessed with some portion of IQ, and when you are growing up, you're gonna learn some skills and some new logics, some new tools. So that's gonna you're gonna improve your uh, soft skills, but you cannot improve your IQ. Your IQ is fixed. So till 18 years of age, after 18, there is no improvement of IQ. So that's static, that's stuck. But when it comes to your emotional intelligence, it's dynamic. It can be altered, it can be improved, it can be updated, upgraded. Okay, a person who has failed in an examination and might feel that depressed, like I'm waste, I cannot improve in my life, I'm not able to crack this simple examination. He might having all these thoughts, but later on in his life, with proper emotional intelligence, when he learned the new concept and how to handle his own emotions, he might crack an even IS job also. So depending, your emotional intelligence is constantly growing. So it's like muscle. Whenever you are flexing your muscles, obviously that muscle is going to grow because the the muscle has the ability to expand, improve, update. Like your emotional intelligence is also kind of a muscle. Okay. Emotional intelligence can be developed and improved over the time through self-reflection. What is self-reflection? So the humans, we have this consciousness saying that, like, I'm gonna reflect what I have done, whether I did a good job or a bad job, whether I was correct, whether I was wrong, whether I could have behaved differently in particular situation, whether I could have avoided the situation. What if that situation didn't arise? Okay, for a matter of fact, in my imagination, if what if it didn't happen? Like all this stuff was running in our mind. Okay, that is called self-reflection. Self-reflection about our own thoughts. So why did I act like that? Why did I behave like that? We are trying to assess our own emotions. That's self-reflection, and nobody is there to say that Gautam, you did wrong, Gautam, you did right, or Gautam, you were guilty. But our own consciousness is gonna give the idea that Gautam, you did a pretty bad job. So that's the self-reflection. So what I can do, how to improve? Mindfulness practices. Mindfulness, so people trying to think that this mindfulness is a new concept, but mindfulness is part of our Indian culture. It's part of our meditation practices. It's in a way, it's a kind of dhyana. So people in previous days, they used to focus on particular deity. They used to be mindful of that particular person, or later on when the Buddhism entered and so many developments happened, and it turned into it's focusing on your breath. And in some part of some cultural people, they practice this Raja Yoga, and they focus on the Brahman in their head, and they want to focus on this center point. Somebody going to focus on their top of their head. So somebody is focusing on particular topic. So in this mindfulness, we are mindful of a particular aspect. So for example, I'm mindful of my breathing. So I'm mindful of whether there is a saying called, to explain simply, right now I'm gonna take 2 sips of water. There is a famous saint who said this topic about mindfulness. He said, when I am drinking water, I'm only drinking water. What he is trying to convey, when I am having the water, my thoughts, my emotions, my total inclination, and my intelligence is all focusing on the water, consumption of water. I didn't have any other thought. So while drinking, I'm not going to think about my office. While drinking, I'm not going to think about my spouse. While drinking this water, I'm not going to think about what's going to happen in my life. What about my next promotion? Okay, I got so many debts, how can I get rid of those things? And oh my god, I missed this month's EMI. I'm gonna deal with that stuff. So all this stuff will be taken care when you are mindful of on single task. So it's all about dedicating your thought on to a single thought process, single task. You are giving only single task. Okay, mindfulness, that is mindfulness practice. Second thing, that there is something called as body scanning in mindfulness technique. So you're going to scan your body parts, like the sensations, what's happening in your body. That so many times that we are not able to realize what's happening in our body and outside of our body also. So we're going to focus from the tip of the toe to top of our head. So we're going to scan each part. So whether I'm touching my feet on the floor, am I using whether the floor is cold or whether it is bearable, whether I'm able to sense it. So after certain time that we will lost all these sensations coming from the outer external stimuli. So we are mindfully being aware of our own sensory reception. So it's in a way we can say that we are being aware of sensory reception. Okay. By mindfulness practices and feedback from others, this is the most important thing. So people tend to what they do, they doesn't take any feedback from a particular person. And some people they doesn't appreciate if somebody gives you feedback. For example, a feedback is a great tool in order to improve our progress and uh, in order to update our skills. So, for example, in a way, we receive bad feedback from the social media. So, don't go by the social media feedback. So, who are these close quarter people? Your family members, your immediate neighbors, your colleagues, your close friends, and your well wisher. You need to have a mentor in your life. You are working on a particular task. You need to choose somebody as a mentor in your career or whatever path. So depending, so you have to value those people's feedback. Okay, you doesn't have to pay heed to every Tom, Dick, and Harry who's going to comment on your social media feed or how you're going to dress, how you're going to talk, and they have so many opinions on your accent, the way you dress, or your facial features, and all that stuff is happening. I'm not saying that you need to be paying heed of that, but you need to be aware of feedback from the people who value you, people you value. Second, people who value you. So that's the most important thing. Emotional intelligence is not the same as personality traits or intelligence quotient, and can be developed independently of them, what we have discussed. So people with some extraordinary IQ levels, so they might flunk the examination because they might be having certain some they might happen something drastic might have happened in their family. So some their father might be pretty ill on the day of examination. This chap is pretty on top of the game, and he's having high IQ levels, but he is not able to manage his emotions while during the examination. He might even not able to write 2 lines. He might be crying. He might be not in a situation to recall the said answer. He knows that, but because of his emotional turmoil, he's not able to recall that stuff. So these are so many points are there. So you might see that you might be aware of that people who were with you and who were studying with you, and you thought that this fellow is something on next level, is going to achieve all the good things in his life. But later, after 10 years, you might find that fellow struggling in his life. He might be having so many debts. He might not be able to get a job. So he might be having family issues. He might be having relationship issues. He might be having health issues because of his bad conduct and bad behavior, and he might be indulging in so many other stuff that you are not supposed to indulge. So emotional intelligence is going to pay you. So IQ pays you, but emotional intelligence is going to handhold you and is going to continue your journey. So that's the reason emotional intelligence is important. In the workplace, developing emotional intelligence can lead to better teamwork, more effective communication, and a greater success in building and maintaining positive relationship with co-workers and clients. In workplace, developing emotional intelligence can lead to better teamwork. So what we have discussed in previous points. So better teamwork when you are able to analyze, understand your own emotions. Then, when you are able to understand your teammates' emotions and what they are going through, that you might feel that okay, somebody has and asked that okay, Gautam, I want to take leave for 2 days. Why? My wife is pregnant. So your mother-in-law is there to take care of. Your father-in-law is there to take care of. And what's the need of you going there and staying with her? You might say that because you want to get rid of this particular pending work. But when you are emotionally inclined and when you know that your wife is also has been through that stuff, and there a man needs to be there and a husband, proper loving significant other person needs to be there in order to give her confidence, in order to give her the emotional stability boost. So you might feel that okay, Ramesh, you are asking me for 2 days, but can you manage that task in one day? If it is possible, I will be very happy when you if you're gonna return in one day. Uh, so he's gonna say that no, 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 I need to 2 days. I need 2 days. I have pretty some other stuff is there. I have to deal with that stuff also. So you might say that okay, all the best, take care of your wife, all that stuff. When you are able to communicate with this level, when you are able to understand that they are important, what's happening in their life, that is also important. I've also understood that, even I also been through that stuff. So when you give that idea to those people, they're going to respond in a positive manner. They're going to work for you, they're going to work for the team. More effective communication. So it's not a simple communication, effective communication that yields results, that yields productivity, that's going to create a brand image of yourself. So people generally communicate, but they doesn't have that. You might say that there were 100 people in your office, and you have changed your office. It's already 2 years past, and one day some of your colleague might bump into you and say that, hey, do you remember that fellow Akash? You might not be able to recall that Akash, but you might be able to recall a fellow called some Joseph or some XYZ candidate who always used to come late to the office. It might be a bad example, but he has created a brand for himself, who used to leave early from the office, and who always used to chat with the woman on the office, and is also every time you might, if you want to find the guy, you might be able to find the guy in the cafeteria area or in the smoking zone. So he has a bad reputation and bad brand. I'm giving a bad example, but understand that that fellow has created a brand of for himself. He has a particular image. So all the people might not be able to recognize everyone, but this Joseph fellow, everybody is going to recall. Oh, okay, I do recall that fellow Joseph. He used to be very funny and all that stuff. Okay, so you need to have a positive brand image also, no? So somebody works very efficient, somebody might be very empathetic with other colleagues, and somebody is very forthcoming, and whenever it's time to give anything. So he doesn't have any inhibitions to share his knowledge, and the person who is not insecure that okay, oh my God, I'm going to share this knowledge to this with people, I'm going to lose my job, or I'm not lost my special ability. Why should I care about these people? People who are like that, people who are one step ahead in order to helping these people, they have this positive brand also. Okay, more effective communication and greater success in building and maintaining positive relationship with co-workers and clients. What we are discussing about positive relationship, when you are in a damn team, that you are bound to have a relationship of or any like or dislike, or just general hi bye namaste namaste kind of communication, or just you need to get this job done. So for that self, heck of sake also, you need to communicate with that particular person. Okay, but effective positive relationship with the co-workers and clients, If you are emotionally intelligent and if you are aware of the things about that person, their needs. A particular lady is there, a new intern arrived in your team, is just college passed out, and how to handle that girl. So she might not be technically aware, she might not be great communicator, she might be having so many apprehensions, she might be the whole office structure and the office politics. Politics is a big part of office life. So people trying to sabotage your chances or your career. So this thing happened so many times in so many persons' lives. So these all things that the girl might not be able to about that stuff. No, you should be able to understand that, okay, these are the things in our office. This is the our culture. So when you are able to give that information, when you are can act like a guide to that person, so obviously the relationship and the relationship will be positive with the co-workers. Okay, let's see what are the benefits of having a proper uh, emotional intelligence. If you are an emotional intelligent person, what you gonna achieve in your life? Okay, so better self-awareness. High emotional intelligence can help individuals better understand their own emotions. So they are able to understand their own emotions and their own strengths. So they're gonna think that these are my real practical strengths. So people are assuming like that I have better coding capability, but I am not better in coding, that they are not aware of that. But my strength is to deal with the people, delegating work, and getting best out of from the people, and being nice with the when you are about learn when you are aware of your strengths, that you're going to play on to the strength. Okay, and weaknesses, it is the most important thing that you might be there is a scant necessity to understand your strengths, but there is a bigger necessity to understand your weaknesses. So when you are able to decipher that this is my weakness, so you will try to avoid those situations, or you will try to improve that particular task, that is skill. You're going to learn new concepts. You will be more cautious about handling those things. Okay, you need to be aware of weaknesses. This can lead to improved decision making. It's going to improve your decision making and communication and overall self confidence. So what's the end product, byproduct? What's the major goal of any of the skill? You want to feel better of yourself. No, you want to have that confidence that when you are able to achieve what you always wanted, when you are able to deal with the people, when you are able to communicate effectively, so all these gonna improve your self confidence. Improved communication. So emotional intelligence helps you in improving communication. Individuals with high emotional intelligence are often better at communicating with others. People who are emotionally intelligent, they are able to communicate better. So why? Because they are able to understand the other person's emotions, that he is able to empathetically understand other person's emotions. So he's gonna react in a way that I'm gonna, today I have to be silent, today I have to just give a pat on the back, or today I have to just ignore the person, give some space, today I have to talk like that. If I'm going to use this word, that's going to act as a trigger, so I should avoid that stuff. So all this stuff is aware of, and better communicating with others as they can better understand the emotions and perspectives of others. So what we have discussed previously, so this person who is having a high intelligence and high emotional intelligence is able to understand other person's emotions and their perspectives. Okay, having an emotion is different thing, and they have another perspective, what I said. So a thing that look silly to me, a thing that can look vulgar to me, a thing that can look irritating for me, that can be pleasing, that can be awe-inspiring, that can be pleasant for somebody else. So they have their own perspective. Yes, Sanu. So when I have written a six number, so I'm saying it's six, and you are saying it is nine. So I'm saying from my point of view, and my perspective, I'm saying it is six. From your point of view, that's going to look like nine. So it's not your mistake, or it's not my mistake. Okay. So in order to understand perspectives, you need to have proper emotional intelligence. This can lead to more effective communication and collaboration in both personal and professional settings. In personal as well as professional settings, we are not discussing about just getting more work from our colleagues and getting more from our friends. We are discussing about the relationships. We are discussing about in general, how we can be more happy in our life. Because whenever you are happy inside, whenever you are happy with the family persons, when you are happy in your relationship, when you are happy and satisfied, content with what's happening in your life, you want to happy also. Better relationships, obviously. Developing high emotional intelligence can lead to more positive and fulfilling relationships, as individuals can better manage conflict. So conflicts are unavoidable situations in our life. So I have an inclination, or I have an ideology of North Pole. So my wife is having an ideology of South Pole. So we might be a husband and wife, but we are totally different. So she's having some other thought process. I am having an ideological process. If I got married to an leftist or communist woman, so I'm a spiritual guy. I'm a Sanatani person. I'm Khattar Hindu, and I have these daily rituals, and I have to go through this. My wife comes and says that, "Arey, what the hell? What you're doing? Can't you do that? Why are you?" All that stuff she might say that because she's not ideally inclined. So there is a conflict. No. So how to understand, how to manage those conflicts also going to help you when you are having high emotional intelligence. Okay. Uh, Better relationships, developing high emotional intelligence can lead to more positive and fulfilling relationships, as individuals can better manage conflict. So conflicts are bound to happen. How to manage those conflicts, and can better manage conflict, understand the emotions of others, and build trust and empathy. So when you gonna have the trust that, okay, I respect your thought process, I respect your ideology, and I'm not going to say anything about your thought process or ideology. I'm also having a thought process and ideology, until unless it is harming anybody, until unless it is harming our relationship. We shouldn't discuss, give some private space about this stuff. So you are not into spirituality, I'm not, I'm into spirituality. Let's just avoid this discussion. Let's accept, and let's avoid this concept. We might say that, okay, when you are having a healthy relationship, when you are able to understand other person's point of view, okay, I'm going to avoid this discussion with you. We can talk about n number of things. No, build trust and empathy. And empathy, because somebody is not ideologically inclined to your thought process, that doesn't make those people bad. It doesn't make people worthless, or that doesn't make those people your enemies. An ideology is an ideology. Thought process is thought process. I respect your feelings, but please avoid the task. I'm not going to judge you based on your thought process. So that I can say. Okay. Improved leadership. Leaders with high emotional intelligence are often more effective at managing teams. They are able to better in effective in managing teams, resolving conflicts. You see that I come from a Gangaputra community, that is the Bestan Gangaputra community, fisherman community. So you might not be able to realize that I have these earrings, no? So I do follow all the traditional rituals and all that stuff. I have been to a place called, I'm not going to disclose that place. I have been to that's having some ancestral property of us, and I have been there, and I'm part of some rituals, and the elderly people of our community, they were saying that, what do you do better? I said that I'm a psychologist. I'm a family counselor. I'm a trainer. I do with all this stuff, and so they were shocked and flummoxed that you are not married, and how come you are able to deal with family counseling, and you are not able to understand. You are how can you are able to deal with those big people? So I said that I have read, I experience, I have this 6 years of experience in the family counseling, and I worked as an intern under some senior psychiatrist, under second and under some senior clinical psychologists, and I have learned some topics from them. And I do constantly attend workshops. I do constantly try to learn new concepts, and try to understand what's happening in their lives. So I do the things work like that, I said. And they were not able to deal with some particular young couples issues, and so they have this panchayati routine, and they will sit, the all the elderly, they will sit, and the person who's gonna take over all the proceedings is the headman of that panchayati, and is going to have these earrings, and is going to, in previous days they used to wear the pagdi, but nowadays they are not going to use that. So they are simply, he said that people who do this sort of job, people who are in a position to give a positive feed, or people who are there to uh, settle the issues of a family disputes or any other dispute. We call them as some XYZ, and they are going to have these earrings. So I said, okay, but I have been practicing this stuff from the past 6 years now. So he said that, better you, we gonna, what we're gonna do, please do us a favor. So you are not living with us in this village, but try to have earrings. So, so this they revealed another story that your grandfather, from my maternal grandfather and paternal grandfather, both used to do the same work. So they never, on those days, like 80 years back, my paternal grandfather is 100 years, or some, he died in 1955 or 57, way long back, and so they used to do the stuff. Okay, I felt like happy, and that's the reason I'm having these earrings. No, it's a small inside story. Might not be important for you people, but I tried to. I couldn't control that stuff. Improved leadership, leaders with high emotional intelligence are often effective at managing teams, resolving conflicts, and building positive and supportive work environment. This can lead to greater job satisfaction and higher levels of productivity among the team members. So at the end of the day, everybody is worried about the productivity. So if you are having a good amount of emotional intelligence, at the end of the day, the team that you are leading, or in your own life, in your job or in your business, the productivity is going to improve. Better stress management. This is the key component of emotional intelligence. Individuals with high emotional intelligence are often better equipped to manage stress and remain calm under pressure. This can lead to improved mental and physical health, as well as better performance in high pressure situations. Better equipped to manage stress and remain calm under pressure. So, this is the most hard task for any person. So, remaining calm under pressure. So, when the pressure, stress gets better out of you, so you might turn into a different person. So, I'm going to reveal about a simple story of mine. So, I was in some sixth standard. Our maths teacher was like an angel, and he's always used to come to school, and he's always used to be pleasant with the kids, and he's always used to be nice with us. And by the way, I have studied in a Telugu medium school, so we used to call the teacher as Acharya, Acharya, Acharya. We have this. I have read in. I have studied in Saraswati Shishu Mandir, so we used to call him Acharya, Acharya. So he used to be very nice, and he's in mid 40s. So one particular evening, I was going from a street, and I didn't know that my teacher's house was there, and he was totally irritated. He was shouting, he was throwing all the things in his house, and he was beating his wife. And there was an elderly woman in his wife. I don't know who was she, and he was beating her also. And he was yelling, and he was punching the walls, and what sorts of nonsensical things, or kind of I didn't able to understand that what's happening with this guy. And I thought that this was an angel, but he is being so rude with the family. I didn't know. Later on, after time passed, so we got to know that I judged him on that day. That was a bad behavior. But uh, later on, that when we were able to realize that that teacher's wife cheated on him and she's having an affair, and she sold whatever jewelry she had, uh, and given money to that particular person. So he was irritated. So looking at one particular situation of person's life, we shouldn't judge. Just one bad apple is not gonna make rest of the basket bad. Okay. See, one need to understand that. Greater empathy, developing high emotional intelligence can lead to greater empathy and compassion for others. So it's going to improve your compassion for others, and which can lead to more positive interactions. Yes, when you are more compassionate, and when you are not judgmental, when you have decided that I'm not going to judge this person looking at this episode, so I might not be aware of other aspects of this person's life, so I'm not going to judge, I'm going to be normal with this person. I might be apprehensive, I might be restrained in my communication, but I will maintain the communication, which can lead to more positive interactions, greater understanding, and improved support for those in need. It's going to improve your positive interaction, greater understanding, and improved support for those need. Overall, what's going to improve if you are having better emotional intelligence? It's going to improve your self-awareness. It's going to improve your communication and relationships, better stress management, and more effective leadership. So one might have this thought that, okay, Gautam, you said all the positive and rosy points about emotional intelligence, and whether a person who is emotionally intelligent, a person who is having an empathy levels of next level and compassionate, whether emotional intelligence can have any drawbacks, or emotional intelligence do have any drawbacks, like any tool or any component of our lives. Emotional intelligence also having couple of drawbacks. Emotional overload is the one main. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may be more susceptible to experiencing emotional overload or burnout, as they may be more attuned to their own emotions and those of others. This can lead to feeling overwhelmed or exhausted by emotional experiences. Emotions can be have a drastic effect on your life. See that happy, joy, euphoria might sound like great, and you're happy for 1 hour, happy for 2 hours. Like same way, sad, any part of we cannot say negative emotion. It's also an emotion. So it might be a temporary consequence, but it's going to impact you. So when you are able to process your own emotions, you are processing, and you are consuming, and you are handling your own emotions, managing your own emotions, you are able to understand, decipher other person's emotions. When you are able to understand each and every person's emotions in your family, in your life, in your team, or in your close circle, so that can be emotionally draining. That can be emotionally draining. That can lead to burnout. Okay, we have certain capacity, that I have the capacity to lift some 50 kgs of weight and walk for example, I can walk for 100 feet. So I have this capacity. But there is a time, there is a task, and there is a situation that I have to walk 500 feet. Obviously, my capacity is only 100, so I might push myself, I might be tough on myself, I might, because I'm gonna, whatever little ounce of energy left in my body, the adrenaline rush is going to help me. I'm going to do the task. I might fail in the middle or I might finish the task, but it's going to lead me into burnout. Emotional exhaustion. Obviously, when you are overwhelmed and when you are consumed with the emotions, it's going to lead to exhaustion. Similarly, individuals with high emotional intelligence may be more likely to take on the emotional burdens of others. This happens with the therapists. This happens with the people who are compassionate, people who are empathetic, which can lead to emotional exhaustion and compassion fatigue. It's a real thing. This is a real thing. So I'm going to share one story about one of the counselor. Uh, she is working in Hyderabad, and she newly entered into the counseling field. And there was this new client of her, and she's into her mid 50s. Her own daughter, only single daughter she was having, and she started neglecting her. And with the help of father, both the father and daughter ganged up, and they both neglected, and they were not giving any heed to her. And even for general requirements like food and all that stuff, they were ordering on Zomato and Swiggy, all that stuff. And husband is, because there is no one to stop, and wife is also not in a position to stop. He was having an affairs, and he was bringing new women into the house, some people, and he was consuming like anything, alcohol and all that stuff he's doing in his life. And she can't understand, and she doesn't have any other source. She cannot go to somewhere, and she was trying to change these people. She was trying to address the issue, and husband was out of the control, and the daughter is all supporting his actions. Papa, you want to bring one woman, you have to, all that stuff, wokeness happened in her life. And she was also, because father is also that liberal, and he's given full liberty to the girl, and she's also indulging in so many things. And they were sound, they were happy and wealthy family. But this woman was not able to understand the new situation that arose in her life. So this new counselor, and she was like living near in her colony, and she started doing the therapy, and she was totally dependent on her, and she cannot go anywhere, and she always used to come to her and vent emotions, and she couldn't handle the situation, and she felt so depressed. And every time she comes and arrives and she narrates the story, and she used to go to the depression. And at last, because of that emotional exhaustion and compassion fatigue, and she entered into depression. And there was like, we had to admit her in some psychiatrical hospital for at least 20 days, because she was attempted two three times suicide. And we said that, okay, you are in this profession, but you need to understand that we need to have a barrier. You shouldn't allow anyone to, if something happening in her life, that's okay. There will be some other person to help, but not at the cost of your life. Not at the cost of, you shouldn't allow anybody to too much depend on you, or you shouldn't take that amount of emotional burden, like listening to somebody's story or their issue 40-45 minutes, and scheduling next thing is something different. But this lady was like, Daily 2 to 3 hours she used to come and she used to sit with her and she used to vent what's happening in her life, and it costed her. So one need to be very aware. This might happen with anybody, not in only psychology or counseling, any field. This can happen with anyone. So generally, boys, what they do, because some girl comes and says that, okay, my boyfriend ditched me or something happened in my life, so they want to vent it out. So out of some curiosity or interest, some people who doesn't have that emotional capability or emotional intelligence, whenever they observe, uh, they're gonna be at the receiving end. So one needs to be aware of where to cut our barriers, where to stop, because this is a small insight. Over analyzing. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may be more likely to overanalyze situations. Look, when you are aware of your own emotions, when you are aware of other person's emotions, you might think that you are feeling in a certain way. You are having certain thought process. You are having certain ideology. You are feeling particular emotion in this portion. So you might assume that other person also having same sort of, when they are displaying certain, when they are exhibit an overt behavior, you might understand, you might get, you are not able to talk to those people, but you are deciphering it. Okay, he is emotionally aroused, or he is in a depression, or he's in a depressive sad mood, or he's having an anger bout, and all that stuff you are analyzing constantly. You are in an analyzing mode, so you are scanning for these emotions. So overanalyzing. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may be more likely to overanalyze the situations, particularly in terms of emotional dynamics involved. This can lead to excessive rumination, underline this point, excessive rumination. So you might feel like that, your partner said that today's food was bad, or a bit salty, or not up to the mark, or felt like throwing after eating that stuff. So it's going to hurt you. So it's an one day episode. People who are uh, over empathize, people who are compassionate, they might ruminate about that stuff for months, whenever they are sit quietly in calm, and they might have this thought that, okay, I felt bad, I let down my partner, so I'm pretty bad, I'm not good for nothing. All these sort of things might come in her mind. Okay, this is called rumination. So keep on pondering on single negative aspect. Keep on in a loop mode. You are trying to analyze more critically, more critically, more critically, more critically, more critically. So it's like an infinite loop. So this can happen. Analyze situations, particularly in terms of emotional dynamics involved. This can lead to excessive rumination or anxiety, particularly in situations where there are complex, ambiguous emotional dynamics. Difficulty setting boundaries, what we have discussed. Difficulty setting boundaries. You are compassionate, you are caring, and you doesn't know where to stop. Being compassionate, being empathetic also need to have some certain boundary. You cannot empathize beyond your capacity. Look, we are living in India, 140 crore people are there. When you are traveling in a train, you will encounter certain people with a disability, certain people with some other issue. You cannot change the situations. You cannot bring any new thing in their lives, because whenever you are traveling in train, you might encounter 400 odd people with different situations. You might peep from the see from the window, that you might see that so many people are in poor and drastic situation, and you might feel like, oh, they are living like that, and what I can do, I didn't have the money. If I wish I had the power, if I was the chief minister of the state, if I were the prime minister of this country, I could do this better. Why the government is not doing all that stuff? Why so many billionaires are there? Why they are not contributing? All that stuff gonna ruminate in your mind. So it becomes hard, difficulty setting boundaries. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may be more sensitive. They are more sensitive to emotions of others. Okay, which can make it more difficult for them to set boundaries or assert their own needs. Assert. So when you are sensitive, when you are uh, kind, that you might not be able to say no. Somebody is asking you that, constantly pushing you that I pick up my call, I need to talk to you, I want to have a discussion about some topic or something. Somebody is saying that. So you need to prioritize yourself first, then think about the other person. So when you are not able to say that no, that we assertively no, you doesn't have the money and you are hard on lacking in finances, and somebody saying that, oh, I need some money, please, can you give me, can you borrow me some 20,000 or 1 lakh or something. So you are not able to say that, Array, he's a close friend or associate, or that person did a favor to you, but you are not in a situation to help that fellow. You could say that, okay, look at buddy, I know that you are in trouble, I can understand your situation, but I am not in a situation to help you. No. So you should be in assertive in certain situations. When you are too sensitive and too compassionate, that people sometimes might, you see that in the TV, that all the jewelry he sold and all the property he sold and everything, he left it to the society, and he is now begging on the street. So not at the cost of your life or your standard of living. You should be compassionate, sensitive, empathetic, but not at the cost of your family and your life. Okay. Misreading emotions. While individuals with high emotional intelligence are often skilled at reading the emotions of others, they may occasionally misread or misinterpret emotional cues, particularly in complex or ambiguous situations. Particularly complex and ambiguous situations. You might, we are not gods and we are not experts and we are not supercomputers. We are not superhumans. Sometimes we might misinterpret an emotion to something else. So this is also one of the drawback of having high emotional intelligence. Overalling emotions. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may place a high value on emotions, which can lead to overlooking other important factors or using emotions as a sole basis for decision making. So, when you are aware, when you are inclined, when you are totally into emotional stuff, when you are able to understand, analyze, when you are able to empathize, being compassionate, the emotions might engulf you. The emotions might sometimes be unbearable, or it can go over your head. Overloading, overvaluing emotions. Individuals with high emotional intelligence may place a high value on emotions, which can lead to overlooking other important factors or using emotions as sole basis for decision making. So when you make decisions based on emotions, sometimes it might lead to into a wrong thing, or that might be counterproductive for you. For example, like people say that, okay, something happening in some part of the country, let our government give them the money, whatever resources we have. Okay, that's certain extent, that is okay. If people say that, okay, we have to dedicate some amount of budget or 10% of our budget to that country because the people are suffering, so obviously the main sufferers will be people of this country. So because you are emotionally took the decision to help those people, they are okay, they are uh, saved, but your country people gonna suffer. So whenever we are taking decisions, sometimes we need to be very practical. Having after discussing all that stuff, but still what I say is that be practical, be empathetic, both, like a coin having two sides. You should have compassion, empathy, emotional intelligence on one side, and another side you need to have this IQ, pure logic. What's practically good for me? What should I do? What's better for me? All that stuff. There is this saying in English, no? There is this concept. People say that uh, your mind or your brain will be thinking always logic, but your heart is always looking for emotions. So think with your mind, think with your brain, be logical with the brain activity, but take some decisions depending on your heart. Okay, so you need to differentiate in which area I should be emotionally inclined or I should listen to my heart, in which area I should listen to my mind. So there is something called as logical brain, there is something called emotional brain. There are so many hypothetical theories about this logical brain and emotional brain. So we're going to discuss those concepts in future vlogs. So thank you guys, thank you friends. So this is my first English vlog. So I have attempted to do it. Somebody requested me. So some North Indian friend of mine, or generally somebody I met on social media. So he requested saying that, okay, Gautam, can you do it in English or Hindi? Okay, I said, okay, I will try. I will give it a try. But let's see that with the time I'm going to improve whatever the drawbacks or whatever the negative points might be having in this vlog. I'm gonna with the time, with the passage of each day, with the passage of every next episode, you're gonna improve. So that's it, friends. Take care of your families, take care of yourself, stay strong, stay safe, have a nice day. Namaste. I'm gonna signing off. Thank you.